So have you heard, and I can bring up an article if we need to have a reference point. Have you heard, like, this is like this quarter has had more releases than had, I think, the most movie releases since the pandemic, but has done less well than they did last year financially?
I believe it.
Yeah, we're not doing well this year. This was so a phrase that gets bandied around that I've heard in the podcasts that I listen to that are about the movie industry, where survive till 25, which was essentially kick a lot of stuff out of 2024, as we've talked about a bunch of times now, and retool it, rework it, um, and get it into 2025. And this was mostly because of the writer and the writer strike. Uh,
Well, there was the writer strike, and then there was the other strike.
yeah. So
I forget which one, but there were two of them.
now we're in 2025, and they're shifting tunes from survive till 25 to the fix is 26.
They're
And
going to have another. I don't know what they're going to come up for 27, but they'll try to come up with something.
oh, I don't want to retread over territory we've already
How
talked
is it
about.
these people are always just like climbing a ladder that's falling down a manhole?
Well, that's the thing. I think there's this hope that we're going to get back to 2019. And I think that's the only thing I want to talk about, because if we I don't want to retread everything we've already said about this. So I'm being very careful with what I talk about. But I think I really want to hammer this point home, and I want you to join me in the hammering. Like, I'll stand on one side of the nail, you stand on the other side, and we'll keep
Okay.
hitting this thing.
We can railroad spike this.
We're never 2019 was it. That's peak. And maybe it might have lasted a little longer had 2020 not happened, but it did happen. It was whatever. And we are now, the internet would have to collapse. Like, we would have to lose the internet to get back to 2019. That's how bad things have gotten. And
I
they're
think
never
even
going to
that
revert.
wouldn't help it.
Well, if you don't have internet, you don't have streaming, Robert.
I still don't think it would help that much.
You at this point, the world's only going one way. We had this conversation last night on the Metal Hammer of Doom jukebox, where, because the guy from Lordy had been complaining about digital music, and he was like, "I don't even open up my email. That's how fucking anti, doing the shit I am." And we were like, "Good for you, Mr. Lordy." But Jesse, who's Mr. AI, made a really great point. He was like, "How did we even know? Or how have we heard about Lordy?" And Robert heard about him through Fuse, but I got it through Spotify. Spotify suggestions or Pandora, one of the two. In either case, it was because of digital music.
I stumbled across them on YouTube because some of their music got used over like music video, like fan edit music videos I was watching. I thought, oh, but that sounds cool.
Yeah. So my point is, like, we are now, the marketplace wants digital. It doesn't want anything hard copy. And those that do are the nichest of the niche of your marketplace. So they don't even count. The vast majority of people want it on their mobile device, and that's it. Whether it's movies, books, music. I mean, I'm still one of the weirdo people who buys physical books, but it's mostly because it's hard for me to read off the screen.
I'm kind of with you. Like, I actually much prefer if depends on what I'm reading. Like, I can read stuff on my screen if I'm like reading a small short thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm gonna read a book, like, give me the book.
And there has to be. I think books are kind of maybe like the last bastion of people who want physical media, or we wouldn't have bookstores, because what we don't have? CD stores anymore. We still have comic book stores, but comic book stores also become like your local nerd hangout place, and they sell gaming stuff there.
The comic book shop and the game store kind of merged into one unit.
Right. So, as an offshoot of the bookstore, that's about it. Everything else, because we talked about this last night, like there's no more Tower Records, there's no more Sam Goody, there's no more VHS stores like you used to be, or DVD stores. There's no places to go to buy movies as such, because people don't want them. The marketplace, it changed. And so why are we talking about this? Because as long as people are now conditioned to feel like the best option for them is digital, you're never going to get to 10 movies in the top 10 or more all making $1 billion. You're just not. There's no way to support that.
And, it doesn't help that prices seem to continue to go up and wages don't. And
somebody said if to take his 3 kids to the movies is a $300 day.
Okay, that's a bit much.
I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
But you know what? Okay, hang on. So let's run the math on this real fast. So assuming to get to $300 for 4 people, so 3 kids and an adult, right?
You definitely didn't go see a matinee, I'll tell you that much.
No, so you're prime time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're what? $10 a ticket?
Try 15. Let's pretend this guy took his kids to an IMAX showing. So
okay.
It's $15 a ticket.
Okay, so we're starting at 45.
Yep.
What's a large popcorn cost?
Oh, $15, $20.
Okay, that's a bit much, but okay.
Well, again, what kind of popcorn are you getting, and with what? Let's put it this way: I can easily spend $100 at the movies.
Yeah.
How you got to 300? That's excessive.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, okay, I can absolutely buy that 4 people going to a primetime showing, buying popcorn and drinks for everyone, that can crack $100 pretty easily. I can absolutely believe that.
Yeah. Now,
300, like, what are you going out to dinner afterwards and we're factoring that in? Like, what's going on here?
He might be. And then absolutely I can see it being 300. Like let's put it this way. I went to go see Death of a Unicorn. I saw a 1:30 show. So I saw a matinee. My girlfriend ended up ditching us. She had other stuff to do. So it was just me and my 2 kids. I have A-list, so I don't count. So, but I had to buy tickets for my 2 kids, and that, because it was a matinee, that amounted to about $20. We didn't buy anything at the theater, but I took them to Olive Garden after, and that was another $100.
Well, yeah, again, so if you go to like the restaurant afterwards, you're like, okay, my entire night out with my kids ran me $300. That I can absolutely believe, but like just the movie portion of that being 300, that's a bit that's irresponsible.
There's a way to get there though. So
sure.
So
get the personal pizza.
Man and 3 kids, everyone gets their own popcorn. Everyone gets their own drink. Everyone got candy, and one person got a specialty item. Could have been like because one of the movies that Erica and I went to, she got donut holes. So, and I used to get I remember my kids each would get candy, and I would get 2 hot dogs. Like, you can't if everyone gets something and you keep doing multipliers of that. Yeah, I could kind of see how you got to 300, but that's because you were a crazy person and was like, it's our night out, but you can't do that every weekend. And that was obviously a special occasion. I go every weekend with my kids. They don't always get something, and if they do, like I said, I have points built up from A-list and stuff like that. The point of this is there's the Survival 25 and the Fixin' 26 and my best friend Slevin in the year 2027 that I ate a pie in 28 and forgot
you gave up there
and I gave up the rhyming scheme in 29. Is you think you're going to get to 10
things will be hang on, here's what it's going to be. Things will be fine by 29.
But they won't.
Of course not, but that's what they're going to say.
And so people understand. It's just I don't understand what you guys are talking about. You have 2 problems kind of converging into one massive depression of the theatrical exhibition marketplace. One, movies suck. See, 20 minutes ago, when I said the second best movie of the year was this one. It's when people... Movies like anything else, if you lose the goodwill of the marketplace, it is hard to get it back. People are skeptical by nature. And
okay, let's rewind just a minute because I'm going to make the point. I'm going to agree with you and make your point. What does the MCU offer now? This was the box office king for a decade, right? What are they offering now? Nostalgia bait. That's all they've got. That's it. Come watch Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah. And if you're wondering about that, there's only 87 videos since they announced the Doomsday cast. And that has been, it's so funny. Imagine you're the people that work at Marvel right now. You're like, quick, get all this information about Doomsday out there. Get all, get teasers, get posters, get something. Get these people excited. The nerds are not with us. We've lost the nerds. Give nerds something to get excited about. They get excited about crossovers. They get excited about X-Men. give them the fucking X-Men already. And then
the 90-year-old Patrick Stewart.
And then they do the Doomsday, what we're talking about, so people understand or don't follow this stuff, because sometimes we're a little in the weeds. Over the weekend, there was an announcement of who was going to be the main Doomsday cast, which is Doomsday is the next Avengers movie, which is coming out next year.
Allegedly.
It was supposed to be the Kang Dynasty, but,
that didn't happen, because we can't just recast.
The actor got himself in trouble, and they had to pivot. So now they're
Once
doing
again, should have recast, but hey, here we are.
So now we're doing Doctor Doom, and they're doing their iteration of both versions of Secret Wars, which were comic book series that are like decades apart. In any case, I don't want to explain too much of this stuff, but for those that don't know, they announced the cast of that movie, and they did so by showing empty director's chairs, and it was mostly the people that have been in the last 5 years worth of movies and some upcoming ones like Fantastic Four. There were no surprises except for there was a handful of Fox X-Men actors that are also going to be in it.
James Marsden, Channing Tatum. God, I hope he just dies.
Okay. Patrick Stewart.
Both Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Who again are like in their 80s.
Yeah, Kelsey Grammer, who was in The Stinger at the end of the Marvels.
Which nobody saw but us.
So if you're working for Marvel and you're working for Disney and this happens, the expectation is hopefully this will make the nerds happy and they'll stop making endless videos screaming about how awful Disney and Marvel are. So they do this, and the result is the nerds all made movies about how boring and disappointed they are, and the point that you made a few minutes ago is all Marvel has is nostalgia. Which, if you work for Marvel and you saw any of that, how did you not throw yourself out a window? We have hit the point, and this is really the underlying factor in all this. We have hit the point with Marvel being kind of a microcosm of this problem. Nothing is going to make anybody happy. Everyone's so angry and so disappointed by 10 years. This is the word everyone else is using, and I hate it because it has no meaning anymore. But to get through my point, 10 years of woke movies, they are gone. They have left the relationship. They have left the house. They have moved in with another person.
We all did the John Cena, looked at the camera and said, "We're breaking up with you."
Yeah. And you can do Baby Come Back. You can blame it all on me. I was Robert Downey Jr. and I just can't live without you. They don't care. They're done with this. They're doing something else now. They're all they're all fucking chasing their own tails. What they're doing. So when probably the most successful franchise in the last 20 years can't win back their fans, how do you expect to get to $2 billion is the number one movie of the year, and the remaining 9 in the top 10 all made over $1 billion? It's never going to happen.
Look, man, it's going to be a minor miracle if the new Avatar movie can hit the $2 billion mark.
And about the only one that does, because Avatar doesn't have shit all over it.
Yet.
Well, yeah, I'll say this and then we can move on. At least they've done with Avatar something they haven't done. Avatar is a very unique thing because they haven't oversaturated the market with it. They had one movie a zillion years ago, and then they did a movie a few years ago, and then we're getting another one. But it's not like, they've done a bunch of different Avatar movies in the middle that sucked.
Or a, streaming series that goes behind the scenes of some of the Space Marines or anything like that.
Right. They didn't treat Avatar like they've done with Marvel and Star Wars. It doesn't have I'll do it again, but I'm going to hate myself in the morning. It doesn't have the woke tag. Like Avatar is is an anomaly that largely avoided every single pitfall everything else threw themselves into, like Daffy Duck in Robin Hood.
Well, it helps that, like you said, James Cameron was content to go like, you know what? Let's not. Like, I'm going to work on stuff. There's a bunch of technology that has to advance. And while his views probably align with a lot of that stuff for a variety of reasons, he never made a movie that got like really, like you said, that really got a lot of the blowback from having the girl boss or neutering the male lead or any of these other things that just alienated the audience. And I'll throw the caveat once again, yet watch this one, just drive face first into all of them, because if someone's going to do it bigger and better, it's got to be Cameron.
I would like to think he's paying attention and has learned from people. Look, if there's anything to be done now that Snow White has done what it's done, everyone else has got to have wisened up at this point. There's nobody that looked at currently looking at Snow White and going more of the same. There's no possible way.
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
Well, if Snow White had happened 5 years ago, I would not say that. But it's been 5 years of all of that stuff.
And Snow White does, let me phrase it this way, I sincerely hope that turkey bomb is the culmination of all of this and not just another notch on the ladder.
The last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm done. I'm going to move on to the next thing. Because you brought up Marvel, and I feel the need to put an exclamation point on this. You said the only thing they've got is nostalgia. They have one other thing. That this is going to end. That they got to Endgame, and everyone was like, we're done now, right? We told the story that needed telling. They're like, no. We have a streaming service we have to feed to, and we have more movies we're going to do, and we have stories forever. And none of it worked out. And if you look at, Doomsday and Secret Wars as the tacit admission that this thing is almost dead. So let's try to. I mean, at this point, we've killed the pilot, some of the passengers. There's a hole in the plane. If we can get this thing on the fucking ground, a la Snakes on a Plane, and land it without killing any more people, we'll call that a success and walk away quietly, like fucking Bill Bixby at the end of The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, most of the chatter around this, and again, this is rumor and innuendo and whatnot, that Secret Wars is going to be a non-trivial reset of the entire godforsaken behemoth at this point.
It's a great way to just end the fucking thing, and then they can start over a few years later. Look, I was the one that said, honestly, they should just kill everything at Lucasfilm, give it a few years off, and start all over again, brand new and exciting. Recast Han, recast Leia, recast Luke, just start all over again. With new young actors. Same thing with Marvel. The only way to save it is to kill it in its current form and wait a few years and start all over again. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I don't think that. Here's the problem, though. I don't think that would save it. I mean,
well, I'll go you one better. Like I said, it's never gonna get any better than it was in 2019, and you can't recreate the Beatles. Shut up, Robert. So you're not going to recreate the MCU 2010 to 2020. You're just not.